Quarterback Bryce Young can't seem to get the boo birds or hater birds out of his ceiling, no matter what he does. While the Carolina Panthers front office gets the boo birds something to cheer about, and we still got some haters that just can't keep their mouths off our tight ends.
Bruh. Bruh.
This and more on this post Father's Day edition of Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, Panther Nation. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this post-Father's Day edition of Growlin' and Prowlin'. Again, you are joined by the one and only Mr. CeeLo and Panther Nation. I just want to take this minute to wish all of my fathers out there a happy Father's Day and give a huge growl out to my own pops. Love you, big guy. Been a trying last couple of years, but I'm proud of you. Also want to give out a big growl out to all you guys out there for joining us for this post-Father's Day edition. It's never too late to tell the fathers happy Father's Day, much like the mothers out there. Give them as much love as you possibly can. Take them fishing, and in the South, take them out for some chicken. Everything's all good. Want to give a huge growl out to my wife and kids who showed me a pretty doggone nice Father's Day this past weekend. My wife cooked one of my favorite dishes. Love my wife a lot. She does make those moments very special to me, and I'm very appreciative and grateful for her and my kids as they made me a card or two. Thank you. Love you guys. And want to give a huge growl out to my dearly departed grandfathers as they are responsible for my mother and my father being here, and my dad is most importantly. Never can forget where you come from. And of course, huge growl out to my Lord and Savior, the Father of all creation and the finisher of my faith, Lord Jesus Christ, as well as the Father up above. Thank you all. Well, let us get into the comments as Za2361 once again commenting on the show. Thank you so much, Za. That's awesome. Yes, this is the best roster by far. I think the tight end room is very solid because Tommy Tremble is a good blocker and a very, very reliable pass catcher when the ball is thrown to him. The most important thing is Tommy Tremble has so much untapped potential. I hope he gets to display it this coming season. I love this comment. And, you know, I've heard so many people on this wavelength, and when I say wavelength, I'm referring to guys that actually cover the team or pretend they cover the team, say that we need to go out and get Cole Kmet, another Notre Dame tight end. Panther Nation and guys like Za understand exactly what I'm about to say. Tommy Tremble is untapped potential. And I'm hoping many of you that come over here and watch my content or our content, you understand that you're going to get a true diagnosis. Maybe not always with complete numbers and statistics. But let us understand something. A lot of translation from Bryce Young's issues translate into play calling. A lot of the issues Bryce has had translates into the fact that he does not have a suitable tight end play design. And the reality of it is, Canellis hasn't figured out how to utilize the tight ends correctly. so that Bryce can have a safety valve. Tight ends are designed to be safety valves in these offenses. So that is why you see such issues when you see such all or nothing situations with Bryce. It's either good Bryce, bad Bryce. A lot of it can be, relatable to his height. And I don't like using that terminology because realistically, a lot of it was off to a bad start with Frank Wright. And now you're getting him to understand he's got to trust what he's seeing. And Bryce is getting back to that. But you've heard me on many shows make this kind of declaration that I believe Bryce is more of a downfield thrower. But you also have to put him in a position where guys like Tommy Tremble, who we've seen what he can do when he gets the ball in his hands, when you get guys like Mitchell Evans, who are red zone threats, along with Jatavian Sanders, you give them abilities to work what they can do. Look, Travis Kelce is a guy who's an offense built around him. We're in a situation now where there are going to be a lot of mouths to feed. As Za alluded to in this comment, whether it's, the receivers or the running backs on this offense, there are going to be a lot of mouths that have to be fed. Plain and simple. Which leads me to transition to the wide receiving core being reloaded. Now, we've all talked about T-Mac turning into that number one, and people are already talking about, is he going to take that next step? It doesn't really matter whether he does. He's already arrived, people. He's already arrived. Jalen Coker, we'll get to in a minute. Chris Brazzell II, the phenomenal deep threat rookie with the long wingspan out of Tennessee, whom has shown some major flashes at camp. XL has shown some major flashes at camp, showing more that he's getting on the same page as Bryce Young. That is a massive, massive, massive development. Because early on in the season last year, and guys, I'm going to continue to cut XL some slack because I truly believe the struggles with this passing game start with Dave Canales. His inability to say, hey, look, I got to open this thing up. This is on me. You can't keep sitting here week after week listening to Panthers playbook saying it just doesn't look like Bryce and Dave are on the same page, or Bryce is not being trusted by Canales. That's got to get out of your vocabulary. We can't get in this make or break season. Legette's in trouble because realistically you didn't go out there throwing the ball all over the yard like you did before Coker came back. I'm just going to call it what it is. XL is a deep threat as well. Let's not forget this. Let's not forget that you just added Brazzell. Now it opens up some more other different things for XL to do, which he did last season, which I don't understand why you could not do that last season, especially when you got a guy like Jimmy Horn Jr. on your roster. And then, of course, you add John Mechie, who is got history with Bryce Young at Alabama. But the most important deal was you giving Jalen Coker that big extension. Well, not a big extension, but for an undrafted free agent, it's a big deal. I think it was like 3 years, $33 million. Not a bad deal. Because you're going to look back and you're going to see that this deal aged well. You arguably now have, and I've said this on previous shows, the biggest wide receiving room in the National Football League, which could be a casualty of Jimmy Horn Jr., him not being of those trees. But I think ultimately, we're going to get our wish with XL. I think we need to continuously improve in that room as far as the competition goes. And we're seeing a lot of people that are writing Chris Brazzell is going to be the end of XL, and he's going to chop into his repetitions. Look, that's not necessarily true. Do you think T-Mac is going to play 100% of the snaps? No. Do you think that Jalen Coker is going to play 100% of the reps? No. The fact remains, when you got guys like XL out there and Tedero McMillan, these guys are very good blockers in the run game, as well as Bryce and Tremaine, a very good blocker in the run game. Now, of course, everybody's talking about David Moore coming off of his injury, him playing a part in this. Look, I think David Moore is a very serviceable wide receiver. He does some good things well, especially on special teams. But at the end of it all, you want to stay loyal to the guys who were here before you reach the promised land. But at some point, when you get the serviceable parts that are now borderline elite parts, you have to part ways with your serviceable parts. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow. Heck, it is for me. I didn't want to see Adam Thielen walk. But realistically, that's the way the cards fall, and that's just what we have to deal with. Pivoting back to the tight end room, I've also heard so many people talking about Mitchell Evans, the other tight end out of Notre Dame. Listen, I want to throw this in here because Za's not crazy. Za is actually spitting facts when it not only comes to Tommy Tremble, but you're talking about Jatavian Sanders as well as Mitchell Evans. You got three serviceable tight ends who could very well be stars in this league. Tommy Tremble has shown you what he can do with the ball in his hand. So has Jatavian Sanders. So has Mitchell Evans in just his rookie season. I don't understand what so many people are looking at when they say, oh, he's got to take the next step. No. It's about game plan. What is the coaching staff willing to put in for these guys? Tedero McMillan got pushed his rookie season. Not nearly as much as XL got pushed his rookie season. Now, I admit, I'm glad that happened. But T-Mac wasn't always Mr. Automatic when early in the season. He was not. So we can quit pretending like, that T-Mac was just killing everything out there. We don't know how many times XL was getting behind guys. There was a throw to Rico Dowdle I brought up too many times on this show where XL got past his guy and Bryce did not find him. We don't know how many times these tight ends have made plays and Bryce could not see them, or they were not part of the route tree, or the route tree that was part of read 1, read 2, read 3, late read. We don't know that. Hopefully Brad Idzik brings a different element this year where we're able to not have so many throwaways and have some emergency valve release for the tight end, maybe the running back, now that we've got Jonathan Brooks back, and I will be talking about him in one of these future shows. But I think our tight end room is fine. I think it's absolutely underestimated, one of our strengths. Not just because of how they block, but because they're deceptively good with the balls in their hand. I love the fact that you see Tommy Tremble do what he do. I don't understand why Canellis did not make this a priority. Tremble is a quiet entity out there. The guy plays like a man on a mission. A nut on a mission, as I call him, in a good way. You got Mitchell Evans, a guy at Notre Dame. Guys, listen, you can't tell me anything about Notre Dame. I know it well. Mitchell Evans was a guy who was the number one option in Notre Dame's offense. And then you go to Jatavian Sanders, a guy whom was arguably one of the top athletic tight ends in his draft 2 years ago. What do? 3 years ago. Now, last season was derailed because of an injury, but we've got plenty of options at the tight end position. And these guys can block. Ain't no sense in going after another guy who just had his opportunity last season because the guy that they wanted to be the number one tight end got hurt. Let's stop this. A lot of it has to do with the fact that the coaches have to trust and give our quarterback, Bryce Young, bailout opportunities and do a better job.
Is that your best?
Give these tight ends better option routes. I would say give them option routes, especially Mitchell Evans. He knows what he's doing. Jatavian Sanders possibly. Tommy Tremble's been in the league long enough now. He's learned this. But you have to get these guys to develop a a bond with their quarterback so that they can be there. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. It's got to be a situation where, hey, this is where I'm going to be. And it needs to be known. Our receivers don't need to be running 1, 2, 3, 4 yard hitches. Outs. Curls. Go down the field. Especially as big as they are. Make them DBs work. Which leads me to our recognition from players around the league of our quarterback, Bryce Young. As many of you know, the annual top 100 comes out. It starts in the middle of summer, beginning of summer, and goes all the way up to nearly the beginning of the season. And players vote on whom the top 100 players in the National Football League is. And I have just had a field day listening to guys like Tim O'Connell. Was it Tim Conley? Tim O'Connell? Whatever. He really pissed me off today. And guys, I get it. Opinion is opinion. Whatever. But we're sitting here saying, and I'm not saying we, I'm saying for the most part, he shouldn't be one of the 98th best player in the National Football League.
Bruh.
Guys, he's had more comeback drives than anybody since his second year in the league. That's not opinion, that's a fact. And then you've got people that are saying, well, like, he wasn't responsible for all the drives. Okay, well, you could say that. He's not responsible for stopping the other team either.
Dumb shit.
He's not. I mean, how many drives have there been that Bryce brought the Panthers back and the defense gave up 6? Or they gave up the game winner? Those don't count unless he wins them. He's had a couple last year. A couple year before, right? So, let's not do that one. And we're hearing so many different things about, well, when we get this list and we say, okay, who was left off of this list? Why is he on this list and this guy's not? You have to take into account a lot of what Carolina was able to do last year outside of Rico Dowdle when teams finally said enough's enough. Bryce had to step up. So no matter how you want to think, people can sit there and say he had more games with the 1 in front of it than the 400. There's a lot of guys you could say that for. You throw for 400 yards, that's not just some meager number. Tim, what are you talking about? And the truth of the matter is, do I think Bryce is one of the 98 best, the 100 best players in the league? Depends on what you're talking about. And I think the biggest issue when it comes to Bryce Young happens to be when you really sit down and start to look at where the Panthers' play designs have come from. They have really restricted Bryce and what he does. Now, I will say this. Do I think the offensive line health has had something to do with that? Possibly. You've seen Taylor Moton miss the most games he's missed in the previous 2 seasons in his entire career. We've seen Ike Ekwonu in and out of the lineup. He missed the first game last season with was it appendicitis? I think it was an appendectomy. Try saying that real fast. And of course, Rob Hunt gets hurt, and then of course, you see that carousel between at center between Austin Corbett and the Cade Mays, who's walked off to Detroit. And now we see Ike Ekwonu being out for the duration of the first part of this season, possibly all. But we were able to procure the services of one Rasheed Walker, and as well as drafting Monroe Freeling. And truthfully, guys, I could say Canellis was doing was trying to figure out what offensive line he had. And I think what happened was it kind of showed itself for what it is later on in the season. And I want to say something on behalf of one Brady Christensen. I hope he gets better. They have been keeping an eye on Brady Christensen. So just letting you guys know that they're still monitoring him in hopes of bringing him back as a big time 5 across the board backup for this team, and possibly possibly candidate for the center position. Who knows? But when I look at this team and I look at how Bryce Young has shown up at camp already, showing leadership. See, one thing in the National Football League, players respect grit. They respect the fact that you didn't just walk in and just get it handed to you. Bryce Young is a success story, no matter what guys like Tim want to say. No matter what guys like Dennis Cox and Chris Lee want to say. The reality of it is, we need to back Bryce. Listen, when we got on this guy's back and let him carry us, and I'm talking about the fan base, the Panthers were playing good football. He doesn't have to go out there and throw for 300 yards. All he has to do is go out there and manage the game enough to keep us in it. And I believe that's what Canellis was trying to do. But now you go out there, you get a speedy guy to go with T-Mac, Coker, as well as the speed of a guy like XL. And I hope that Idzik understands it with the right kind of matchup. As we saw in Atlanta, XL can get by guys. 6'3", 227 pounds. And Bryce has shown the ability to get him the ball. We need to get this guy, our tight ends, the ball. Not just T-Mac, not just Coker, and not just Brazel. We have to make this offense dynamic so that we can unleash a run game that, in my opinion, is going to be better than last year's. As for Bryce Young being 98th, I'm not ashamed to go on the record and say he'll be on it next season.
What?
Higher. I don't think it's a stretch to say. I'm willing to go on my own show and say that I am not surprised that Bryce is here. I am surprised, however, that there are so many out there that question a guy whom PFF rated as the highest passer of over 20 yards. And they ain't got nothing better to say about this kid than just wait and we'll see if he is that good. Let me know what you guys think. Guys, make sure if you are a first-time viewer, make sure you leave your name and where you're viewing from. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you hit that thumbs up as well as hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that bell notification so you can get all of my shows and shorts as they drop. Make sure you go over to Facebook at Growlin' and Prowlin' and join the group Growlin' and Prowlin' so you can keep up with all of the polls and, I guess, questionnaires that I have not been posting when I get a chance. Finally, if you want to keep the bantering between us going on and you don't want to just leave comments, make sure you go over to my Instagram at Mr. CeeLo so you can keep up with all of my off-season shenanigans that I will be caught up in. By the way, make sure before you leave, guys, it's very important. The t-shirt is almost on the way. I need you guys to start basically putting your names in the comments, because I have lost my list. If you guys want a shot at a free Growlin' and Prowlin' t-shirt, make sure you go ahead and put your names down here, because I am going to start taking another roster call ASAP. And as soon as preseason gets started, I will take the drawing, hopefully about the second preseason game, so I can get those shirts out to you. So as soon as the season shirt starts, you guys can be sporting your very own Growlin' and Prowlin' t-shirt for the duration of the season. But until the next time, keep prowling the airwaves and growling out. Keep pounding.